Today's video, we're going to talk about books about life. You guys know I'm a big fan of reading books. I love making book recommendation videos because I have a lot of books that I can use for ideas, and people seem to enjoy when I give out book recommendations as well. So, not going to do a long intro. Let's just jump into some good books about life. I picked different subjects, facets of life to cover, and I'm going to give you some good book recommendations that are going to make you learn more about life. But before we get to that, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell. If you see this video on any other platform, use those sharing tools to let the people that you care about engage with content that's going to make their life better. Okay, the first book we're going to start out with, it's called Tiny Beautiful Things, Advice on Life and Love from Dear Sugar. So this book is written by Cheryl Strayed. She's the author of best-selling books like Wild, that book that got turned into a movie with Reese Witherspoon, where she is, going to find herself hiking in the woods, all that jazz. So she used to have a job as an advice columnist for a magazine, and readers would just basically come in and ask her or send in letters asking her random questions about their life, like all types of things from divorce to what they want to do with their career to dealing with being abused. And she even goes into great lengths to tell her own story, which is what makes the book really powerful. Like, for each answer she gives, she doesn't just give the reader an answer to their question first. She talks about a personal experience that she's had in her life, and she goes well out of her way to share her own story to create that kind of empathy so the reader knows that she's going through some of the same stuff and that she's not perfect. And then she gives the reader an answer to their question kind of at the end. So she shares, very kind of deep, very rough, sometimes graphic stories from her own life. Like, she's been through a lot, but those experiences helped her help other people through sharing them. So Tiny Beautiful Things, really good book. Broken up into different sections based on the letters, and it's kind of a book that you don't want to read all at once. You kind of got to dive in and get into some of the stories and come back to them later. This next book is it's a career focused book, and it's called So Good They Can't Ignore You. It's by Cal Newport, he's a college professor, kind of a career and productivity expert, and really the basic thesis or premise of this book is that instead of trying to figure out what you're passionate about, first just get really good at something, and then the passion will come later, right? So we have this generation of people looking for meaning and purpose. I myself talk about that stuff quite a bit, but I've kind of shifted my mindset to understand that it's not necessarily searching for the perfect thing to do, but it's focusing on something that creates competence, right? So when you get better at something, it makes you feel good. You feel proud of yourself, and then it opens you up to more opportunities. So Cal's advice isn't to focus on finding the perfect job or the perfect business, but getting into something that you have a chance to get good at, and then also doing something that gives you career capital. So basically, career capital, defined by Cal, is kind of like the equity you build based on the skills that you develop in whatever industry that you're working in. And one of the things he says to do is to find something that is both rare and valuable to the marketplace. So to narrow down your search a little bit more, you want to find something to work on that not a ton of people can do. You don't want to be easily replicatable. You want to be in a position where, since you're so rare and since you're so valuable, you can command higher rates for your work. You can have more flexibility and autonomy in your work. Or, if you combine those skills and you don't want to be an employee, you can use that to start a business. So instead of focusing on the perfect passion, get an inkling of what you might be good at, go into a field that has promise, work really hard, and then you're going to feel great and passionate later on. The next book, this is a staple. I think I've put this in every video that I've given for book recommendations, but I just have to put it in there because it's so good. The book is called The War of Art from Stephen Pressfield, and Stephen Pressfield is a fiction novelist. He wrote the book The Legend of Bagger Vance. You might have seen the movie with, I think, Robin Williams and Will Smith were in that movie. So He was the person who wrote the book that movie was based on, has a couple other best-selling books, and then after that he kind of went into a career of giving advice to artists or people who want to be creative. But really the advice isn't just for people who want to be artists, it's pretty much for anyone who wants to do anything of consequence that requires delayed gratification and facing your fears. And he calls those fears that you have the resistance. And really the basic premise of the book is that the more afraid you are to do something or go in a certain path, the more you should go and aim in that direction. So the scarier you are, the more terrified you are of doing something, that's what you need to be doing. That project that seems scary, that's what you need to be doing. That business that you're afraid to start, like, that's what you need to do, right? And really, he talks about just the power of doing the work, showing up and being a professional, right? So when you sit down to write that article, or you are taking time to put together that website, or you are spending time developing your craft or developing your mind, developing your body, whatever it may be, the results that you get don't matter as long as you show up and do it. So as long as you show up every single day like a pro, do your job on schedule, do whatever it is you're meant to do on schedule, don't worry about the results up front. Give yourself credit just for the fact that you did it. Then if you keep doing that long enough, you're going to be successful. Another book, this one's another one that kind of talks about career principles and life principles. And the name of the book is Principles. So Principles is a book written by Ray Dalio. He's the founder of Bridgewater Associates, one of the biggest hedge funds in the world. You know, super wealthy guy, but also a very very kind of down to earth, curious, open-minded person who's really trying to. It really comes across that he's trying to share his honest thoughts with you. So, you know, a really good thing about this is he has so many experiences to share from, you know, building his business, his equity fund up from literally nothing. You know, he grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, got C's in school. He didn't have some silver spoon put in his mouth, right? But based on these principles he accumulated over time, he was able to find success in life and business. So some of the things he talks about open-mindedness a lot. And one of the things that he says in the book is that, like, the key to beginning to have an open mind is to understand that by default, you are very closed-minded, right? So we have those cognitive biases that get in the way of us being able to think clearly. So one of the things that he encourages with himself and even in his work environment with his employees and staff is to always make sure that you are questioning your own thoughts. And then when you're in an organization, you want to create a culture where people can question your initiatives, question your ideas, regardless of position, right? So at his company, you know, one of the lowest, you know, he's the founder of the company, and he became open to feedback from, like, one of the lowest junior associate at the company could say, hey, Ray, I think you're wrong. And over time, Ray developed the skills of being able to just assess the information instead of seeing where it's coming from, acting like he's high and mighty just because he's the boss. So that's one of many principles found in the book. And basically the way he describes the book, he calls it a book full of Zen koans, right? And Zen koans are just like little sayings that, you know, you kind of just have to take and marinate. So, like, you could honestly, I haven't really read this book from start to finish per se. I just kind of crack it open and I look and I see what section might correspond to something that I'm trying to deal with in my life, and it does pretty good. You know, the writing is a little bit dry, I'll be honest, but the information is valuable. This last one here is another staple, and I had to include this one because it's just some hard-hitting wisdom for your life. Seneca, On the Shortness of Life, a collection of writings by the Stoic philosopher Seneca. Basic thesis of the book is that, you know, a lot of people have the comment saying, oh, you know, life is so short. And Seneca's argument is that life is not short at all. That, you know, life can be long if you focus on living it well. So some of the things he talks about in the book, you know, were very We're frugal with our money. We won't easily give up our coin, but when it comes to our most precious resource available, our time, we give it away like it's nothing. We don't set boundaries. We say yes to every obligation. We don't focus on the things that are important for our life. We don't take time for enough time for health, for wealth, for study and contemplation, for being in the present moment, for living life in a way where you are constantly examining your own personal philosophy and making that a practical philosophy by looking at the things you think, your worldview, the results you expect to get from that, and then putting that out into the real world and kind of iterating based on what you see. So most people, they never kind of take time to step back and get that bird's eye view of their life, and then next thing you know, you're 50, you're 60, you're 70, you're 80, you're in the nursing home, and you're just looking around and you're like, what the heck? Like, where did all the time go, right? So if you are constantly distracted, never in the present moment, never working on things that are meaningful to you, like building career capital, like focusing on questioning your own ideas, like Dalio mentions, like facing your resistance and your inner demons in the war of art, life's going to pass by very quickly. And, not here to judge, but if you look at the way people live, from going to work, you are commuting back and forth, you go home, you watch a little bit of TV, maybe you go out on the weekends, get some drinks with your buddies, and then that's your life. And then that's just 40 years, and then all the other important stuff that you could have attended to kind of slow down the sands of time, you didn't do. So your life passes by quickly. So if you ever want to get a shock to your brain that you only have one chance to live on this earth, The Shortness of Life is a good book for you. Bonus 6th book, my book. Always got to plug every single video. Real Help and Honest Guide to Self-Improvement. If you haven't gotten the book yet, I don't know what you're doing. Go get the book. It is available on Amazon. Link's going to be in the description on YouTube. Going to be in the link in bio on Instagram. Going to be plastered over social media wherever you are watching this. So please make sure to grab that. Also, make sure to use the social media tools of the platform you're watching this video on. Watch some other videos on the channel. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I will see you on the next video.